Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the first official episode of Todd Klindt's SharePoint podcast for 2017, episode number 322, brought to you live on January 9th, 2017. I am the official host of Todd Klindt's SharePoint podcast, Todd Klindt himself, coming at you. You can find me out on social networks. I'm at Todd Klindt on Twitter, todd.klindt@rackspace.com, Todd Klindt on Instagram. Shane joined Snapchat. I think I need to join Snapchat just so that I can do whatever kids do on Snapchat these days. But I'll be out there, so look me up. And this week, I brought the other guy. He's over there. I forget. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Shane Young, and apparently I am the unofficial host because one of us is here every week because they love you. One of us only shows up when he feels like it.
It's I'm a man in demand. What can I say? I got a lot of things going on.
Yeah, I told him last week you slept in and just didn't feel like dealing with him. So, whatever.
My holiday hangover, I had, like chocolate drool coming out of my mouth from treats and all that.
Yeah, but hey, if you want to, you can find me on Twitter at Shane's Cows, or good old Shane.Young at boldzebras.com, or on YouTube, where you can get to watch me without Todd's interruption, and that's YouTube/Shane Young Cloud, where I do lots of fun things, including PowerShell, because turns out it's the only video anyone watches is that one PowerShell one. So
at least you've got that one video. Most folks don't have that one video, so you've got that one video.
I don't know that video has almost 10,000 views in like 2 months, and for a guy like me, that's like 99% of my views.
That's like a lifetime of views. Yeah, it's almost as many views as like the videos my kids watch of people unwrapping toys. So you're getting right up there.
Yeah, and your kids watch the Minecraft ones too?
They don't do Minecraft, but they do equally mind-numbing things on the YouTube.
Oh, my kid's like this Minecraft dude. His name's like Stampy Cat or something like that. He's got this great British accent. He's like, hello! And he just plays it up, and the kids love him. The dude has like 22 million views per video or something. 10,000, 22 million.
You're right on it. He's got to be looking behind him at all times, just worried about you catching up.
I think he is.
I almost think I've never played Minecraft. I've never touched Minecraft. I've never Minecrafted in my life. I wonder if there's like a market for grown-ups spoofing Minecraft videos, like you and I riffing on Minecraft, like MST3K style Minecraft videos.
We could probably do that, right? Start our own Twitch stream that's nothing but us making fun of people that Twitch, or did I use that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Twatch. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the. Yeah.
Oh.
I could.
All right. So, what production?
So production notes. So even though Shane did the podcast last week, and even though in like the first 10 seconds of it, he threatened to bring Daniel Glenn on, even throughout all of that, I still listened to enough of it to get it produced, and it's all done. It's all caught up. For those of you that did like me and listened to like the first 5 seconds, heard the threat of Daniel Glenn being brought on, and then immediately stopped it and then ran out of the room screaming. For those of you, I can tell you it's safe. It is only Shane. He was not able to get Daniel on, so it's safe to listen to, I think.
Yeah, Daniel, he's not just picking on you. He literally was listening to the show. I threatened to bring you on. He turned it off. I had to convince him to go back and finish listening to it and producing it, that you really weren't there. That was how upset he was at the concept of having to listen to you and me talk on his show.
I was in the process of firing Shane and cutting off all contact and burning everything we'd ever done together and just eviscerating him from my memory and my mind. He's like, no, it didn't work. It didn't. So that was, yep.
The only production note I wanted to throw in there was, as you can see, I'm still using the beautiful dorky headset here. The fine people at Yeti, it's only been about a month and a half since I started working with them. They have shipped a box to me that FedEx has that'll be here on Wednesday. Now, whether or not my microphone's actually in it, I'm not going to pass judgment or make any assumptions. But they have sent me a package of something that will be here on Wednesday.
Oh. So that reminds me, every time I hear about that, there was this meme that went on around like 10 or 12 years ago about the PowerBook, where somebody shipped like a PowerBook box and it had like a piece of wood that somebody had written PowerBook on. So that's always what I imagine now.
That's what I'm assuming I'm getting. I had the last week, since you didn't listen to the show, I had the Festivus again, right? I had to just lay into them and just be like, what the hell? So maybe next week I won't hate them anymore.
I don't know. So I can ship you my old Yeti, my my silver Yeti, It's not cool like the black one, but I can ship that to you.
Yeah, the not black ones aren't big enough, so I have to stick.
Well, you've used this, so I don't know if you can go back to the silver one. I don't know.
It's confusing.
Anyway, before we get. Yeah. So on to the topics. So next week, so for those of you that don't follow American football, you're really missing out. It's playoff season here. And more importantly, my beloved Kansas City Chiefs. Oh boy, it's been a great season. So they are in the playoffs. They were the number 2 seed in the AFC. Got a first week bye. They are playing next Sunday against the unfortunate, and I feel bad for them. I really do. There's only one way to say it, for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the game's going to be in Kansas City, and I'm going to go. I'm going to be there. And it's a Sunday afternoon game. So this time on Monday, after the Chiefs have thoroughly stomped the Steelers, and I've been out all night partying, I may be just asleep at my desk a week from today. It's tough to say.
Well, I guess the good news for you is that, speaking of all-night partying, one of the Steelers coaches got arrested for partying after their game, and that guy's a complete – I can't say those words on our family show.
No.
It really happened to a guy that deserved it.
When you didn't get arrested for partying, he got arrested for getting drunk and assaulting somebody because they wouldn't let him into a bar or something. It was...
What? And he assaulted the cop. He has felony charges, right? He kind of pushed the bouncer and they didn't care, but then the cop tried to stop him and apparently he manhandled the cop, and that was where it got bad.
That might go well for you for a minute, but I guarantee when that situation's over, that whole manhandling the cop thing, it's not going to work in your favor.
Apparently the cop was 5'6", 140 pounds, and Joey Porter 6'4", 300 pounds of pure steroids, and yeah. So it wouldn't have mattered anyway. The Steelers, they're going to try, and they're good guys, I'm sure, beloved by their friends and family alike. But they're going to go to Arrowhead, and the Chiefs are going to stomp them. The Chiefs have had a week to yeah. Well, I usually would not root for the Chiefs, but I hate the Steelers, so I will be 100% rooting for the Chiefs.
So, and now the thing is, when the Chiefs win on Sunday, then their next game is the AFC playoffs, and I assume it's going to be in Foxborough, because I assume the Patriots are going to win. So I'm going to have to call Tom LaRock up, our friend, and tell him how I'm sleeping on his couch and how he and I are going to the game.
Now, if they make it to the Super Bowl, are you going to mortgage the house and the kid's future to go to the Super Bowl?
I will be honest. I've got a fairly sizable group of 529s that we've been saving for the kids for college, and I would say that's on the table. That seems there's a lot of time left before they go to college, and yeah.
I'm with you. I've always said if the Bengals go into the Super Bowl, I'm going. I don't care. Whatever. I got assets. We can liquidate.
Yeah. So, and then the thing is, as a Chiefs fan, my Chiefs don't get to the playoffs a lot. And so this might be like a once-in-a-lifetime thing. I've been a Chiefs fan, so I checked it back for 18 years, 22 years, I forget. And this is a fun story. So growing up, I grew up in the middle of Iowa. There are no football teams anywhere nearby. Minnesota, Chicago, Kansas City, they're all 3-4 hours away. So when I got to college, I decided I needed a football team to cheer for because I didn't have one growing up. So one Sunday I sat down and I told my girlfriend at the time, we're going to find a football game and we're going to watch it, and whoever wins, that's the team I'm going to root for. And I've been a Chiefs fan ever since.
That is absurd. I've never heard that story, and I'm sad for you.
That is a true story. But then it worked out well because then I met Jill. Both of her parents grew up in Kansas City. Her entire family was all Chiefs fans. It was like kismet. It was meant to be. It was.
Yeah, see, and I met Nicole, and she'd grown up a Browns fan because her family is all Browns fans. It was real easy to get her to switch gears.
Yeah.
It was I got it.
Yeah. 31 other options we can go with. None of them wrong. That's...
Oh, wow. So, that's pretty awesome. I'm excited you get to go to the game. I've been to several playoff games for the Bengals. I've never won one, but I've been to several. It's a lot of fun.
So that's funny. So I was getting all my stuff out, and I got my Chiefs coat that I was going to take down there. And I get my Chiefs coat out, and I reach into the pocket. And the last time I wore it was when you and I went to the Chiefs-Bengals game back in 2008 or whatever. I still have the ticket stub in my pocket.
There you go. Section 322, seats 10 through 14 or something.
Those are the good old days.
I know. Back before we had kids and we couldn't do random things like that on a whim.
I could just jump on a plane and fly to Cincinnati and go see a football game. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What are we supposed to talk about next? Some band.
Yeah. So this came out last week, I think, or the week before. I forget. Many of the viewers on this show have Microsoft bands, including myself. And the Band 2 was a great device, but it had a bunch of design flaws. And for me, the Band always broke. I'll show it to you right here. It always breaks right here. You guys can't see because everything's black, but that. So I think I figured out why mine always breaks there, because I've gotten a second one. I think it's because my wrist is on the small side of this, so I always have it cranked all the way down. I think it's adding pressure there. But anyway, a bunch of these problems. They get a warranty. You could send them in. They could replace them. Rod Trent at winsupersite.com last week blogged that they're no longer sending out replacements, like they've run out of Band 2s. So if your Band 2 is still under warranty, and in the unlikely event that it should happen to fail and you try to get a replacement, I guess they're doing refunds or something like that. But they don't ship you a Band anymore. So
that's really sad, right? I thought Microsoft was really kind of, it's probably a distraction for them ultimately, but I thought the Band's hardware was a good step in, pretty cool direction.
Yeah, I did too. I use mine mainly for notifications, so getting chirped when I get texted or whatever, and running outside. And it worked out pretty well. The design obviously had a design flaw. I think if I would have realized that, I could have gotten a smaller size and I wouldn't have had that particular problem. I will say one thing: I've since switched to a Samsung Gear Fit 2. Mm-hmm. The first thing I noticed when I put it on is how much more comfortable it is than the Band. It's just not hard and crappy and all that kind of stuff. But everything else about it sucks compared to the Band. The software sucks. The usability sucks. It's waterproof, so I guess that's better. I do like that. But I missed the Band. I wish they could have executed on that.
Yeah, well, the whole wearables thing's been interesting, right? 'Cause we kind of had that glut of here's 50 different ones made by 50 different people, and then a lot of the tech stuff says in 2017 they're pretty much all going to go the way of the dodo birds. They're just kind of, I guess they never got the traction. Even the Apple Watch just hasn't gotten the traction they expected, and they expect most of them to just kind of get phased out. So
yeah, that's unfortunate. So running watches existed before the whole wearables thing. So the wearables thing will morph into something else. It'll be clothes. It'll be something. I mean, it's not going to be a technological dead end. But one of the problems that I've had is I've got a decent watch. I've got a Tissot watch that I love, and I would not buy a watch that was a watch because I want to wear my Tissot watch when I go out if I'm dressing up. So I would not buy an Apple Watch and then wear two watches. I mean, I got enough working against me as it is. I don't need to look like a dork wearing two watches. So I just think they haven't found their niche yet.
Yeah. Well, I like the Apple Watch, right? Because Nicola kind of wanted one. So we looked at them for a little bit. And so she wanted the one. So, you buy it, and then she'd be like, I want that brown band over there. And it's going to be like another $100, right? It was almost cost prohibitive for her to really engage, but I kind of get it, right? Because the hardware they probably weren't making huge margins. It just, it cost more than it was worth, I guess. So, I don't know. Yeah.
I think it's that field hasn't figured itself out yet. But I know that a lot of folks here on the show had bands. You had a band. Lori's got a band. I'm actually got Lori's band now because she moved to something else, and I haven't sent mine in yet. But yeah, it kind of sounds like that's a swan song. That's all over.
So what, you had my band, then you had Lori's band?
I still have your band. I still have, because that was a band one.
Yeah.
So that I still have it right here.
There you go, folks. There's my DNA. Todd's got it just in case he ever needs it.
If I ever need to frame Shane for murder, it's all right there.
Yeah. I've got your blood on my rug, so turnabout is fair play.
Yes, you do. But in better news, we lost the band, but a happy thing that I saw here in the last week is that Microsoft Flow, Microsoft's answer to If This Then That or Zapier, Microsoft Flow has been out for a while. It gained 13 new services here in the last week. And I actually see now it's got services that might make it useful for me. So I was happy to see that.
What's the ones that got you excited there?
Oh, I should have expected you to ask me that question. Let me bring up the list.
So I haven't seen the list yet. So
But whatever you do, don't check the notes for the show before...
You remember that comment here in a minute when we talk about the other topics.
Damn it. So I looked through... so the one that I linked is not the one...
Azure, GoToMeeting, HipChat, Medium, MSN Weather, WordPress.
Yeah, so where, I can't remember, but it was some stuff about getting into like OneDrive and OneDrive Consumer or Dropbox or something. There's just a bunch of little things that I can see in here. And I haven't completely walked through all of these yet. But one of the things that I saw was as people are moving from Dropbox or Box or something to OneDrive for Business, if you've got a lot of data and a lot of people keeping that stuff, moving it and not losing things is really complicated. One of the flow items in here is when an item's dropped into Box, copy it into OneDrive for Business. So that sounds like a great way to start seeding that stuff up. So when you finally do your final push, all kinds of stuff.
Now, you think someone at Microsoft, and I'm sure someone's already thought it, right? But they should be coming up with a product that is just connectors to other services that they kind of, right? Because you think about Flow's got all these connectors. Teams is going to have all these connectors now. Outlook's got a bunch of connectors. I mean, there seems to be this whole bunch of these needs for them to reach out and do connections, kind of like they do Azure AD, right? Azure AD is kind of the center of my universe because it already connects everything. So if they had a connector API that was already the center of the universe, so when they brought on something new like Teams, they just be like, Teams hooks up to the connector API, and now you have all this stuff right away.
Well, and that was kind of like the idea that they had with SharePoint with the iFilters. One team writes an iFilter and it works in SharePoint, it works in Windows, it works in whatever. So, yeah, I agree. But I think Flow, I'm gonna have to check that out. The first time when it first came out, I looked at it. There was nothing in there that I could think of. If This Then That's the same way. I know Laura, our friend Laura Rogers, Wonder Laura, she's been using If This Then That and Zapier for a bunch of stuff for a couple of years now. But until I actually found a use that was handy for me, I couldn't get excited about it. It was the same thing with Flow. But like if you've noticed, if you follow me on Twitter, when I publish this video to YouTube, If This Then That automatically tweets it for me. When I publish the blog post about this, If This Then That tweets it for me. So automation things like that are really really hot.
Yeah, well, one of the things I've used IFTTT for, it's so hard to say, is I use it to search Twitter for like SharePoint and PowerShell. So any tweets with those two combinations. And what's been interesting is using that is how many times I find like tweets that you or I or other people put out there that someone is going out and like stealing our tweet, our content, stripping our name off of it and putting it. And so, I'll find an article or something that I published, retweeted 40 or 50 more times without my info attached to it because I'm searching for those keywords on Twitter. So if you're like me, I like to know when people are doing stuff with your things. If then that is a great solution for that. Shut up.
Orange Poem, is that...
I told you Lukey mocked me for that too, right? Yeah. My 4-year-old, he every time I say the word now, he just gets on my crap about it. I'm like, dude, you're 4, you can't enunciate yourself, shut up.
Yeah, when my kids do that kind of stuff, I threaten to make them sleep outside. I'm like, go sleep outside of the coyotes, you can do that kind of crap.
Exactly.
I don't put up with that.
So since we don't support our kids, should we talk about the fact that Office web apps and the Office Online Server stuff is now supported in Azure?
Yeah, and you and I we talked about this a couple of weeks ago or a month ago, and we were hypothesizing about this, and I should have looked back to see which podcast that was. But yeah, as of 3 or 4 days ago, Microsoft has an official KB 3199955 that officially calls out when you can put Office on Office web apps or Office Online Servers in the cloud, I guess.
Yeah, well, I think, the most important part of it is so it is for consumers only, right? Because if you think back to when we built that SharePoint farm back at Rackspace all those years ago, we wanted to do this. We wanted to, kind of have our own version of SharePoint Online at Rackspace. And part of that is we needed to do the Office Online stuff. And they said, nah, baby, nah, you can't install that stuff out there and, make it publicly available. And so even with this rewritten KB, it still says that Azure use case scenario that we're going to do at Rackspace is not possible. And I guess, right, and it makes sense. They're just saying, hey, you're not going to use our product to write a competitor to us. Go get your own bits.
Yeah, and the I think the thing that they're saying with this KB is you can only put it in the cloud if the cloud server, the physical box, the thing that you kick, is dedicated 100% to your users. And so you and I did battle with that, and they were completely unrelenting, completely consistent in their showing us the hand.
The good news was I got to spend some time with LCA and really get told no in a very proper, well-manicured, there's no way for you not to hear the word no in this conversation. So it was fun.
Yeah. If you guys haven't had the pleasure of doing battle with Microsoft's legal arm, LCA, they, they have teeth sharp like you can't imagine.
Yep.
But yeah, so that was something we talked about. Lori says in November, we talked about that, but now that's the official word. Now that KB's out there, 319-9955. So if you got any questions about where you can install the Office web apps, that's the place to look.
There you go. Things we can install. Because apparently Computer World ran an article that the command prompt was dead. It was going to die a miserable death. Oh my God. Oh, it sounded like the world almost ended when they wrote that article. And so one of the PowerShell, I couldn't figure out exactly who the dude was, but he spoke authoritatively. He said, hey, that's a bunch of poppycock. He said it in a very nice way, but kind of a whatever. But he said, hey, command prompt's not going anywhere in the short term, the long term. We're not changing it. We're not editing it. And so this blog post that Todd's going to put here in the notes here in a second is just a great read, not only to hear that, yes, command prompt is going to be with us forever, but it also talks about, the fact that like a lot of command is still written back in the original C, right? And they haven't been able to update it because they don't want to, every time they update it, even to make it fixed, they break millions of scripts around the world because everyone's just written workarounds for everything that's broken. Yeah. So they just kind of are stuck with like, it's not changing. It's not going to get better. It's not going to get worse. It's going to stay exactly the way it is because the world just can't handle anything about it changing.
Yeah, and what the article, and so for Computer World, shame on them. Shame. What they were trying to refer to is in Windows 10, if you hit Win X and bring up the context menu for the start button, up till whatever build they mention in here, the default was there was an option in there for opening a command prompt. And you've always been able, or since a long time ago, been able to go in and change that setting and say replace PowerShell with command. And that was in your taskbar settings, I think. And that was an important enough setting. I think it had its own dialog page, like it had its own tab. So all that this article was talking about was how that setting is now set to PowerShell. So now you can go back and unset it back to command prompt. But all the change that was made was just that one thing, which one is exposed when you right click on the menu, the start menu. And so they came away from that with, the command prompt is dead, and yeah.
That just brings us back to like one of those topics we talked about, I don't know, a few weeks ago, right? The whole idea that the only articles you can write anymore these days, right, are these are the top 10 best ways to do it. You'll really love number 7. Journalism's gotten worse, but we kind of only click on the articles that are, number 7 is the only thing you're going to like. So we're kind of like reinforcing them writing crappier articles. And it's like the self-fulfilling prophecy that journalism is going to kill itself. I don't know.
Yeah, it's and that's the thing. So that's absolutely what they're doing. It was a sensational clickbait headline. I hate everybody that does that. If you're not already following Saved You a Click on Twitter, you should follow them. On Facebook, if somebody links an article that's got a clickbait headline, I will paste the payoff in there in Facebook. I mean, I hate that crap. But you're exactly right. The reason they do it is because I click them all the time. And I do it every time. And I have nobody to blame but myself.
I know. I clicked one today. It was like the 40 reasons actors left their shows. I really wanted to read it, but I got in there and it's like, you get one per page. And I'm like, I don't want to read it that bad. I want the clickbait. You got me there. Now give me my info. We traded.
Yeah. So there's a website, and I forget where it is, that you can put in a URL for one of those and it will give it all in one page. I can't remember what it is.
I should just quit clicking on sleaze is really what the answer is.
God, we're so weak. But yeah, so command prompt is fine. PowerShell is fine. Everybody's safe. So Christopher in the chat room, 10 best ways to listen to Todd Klindt's podcast. I love it.
Christopher, you should write that article. It'd be a bestseller.
Yeah, it would. I think we might know the title for this week's podcast. All right, so in other sad news, tell them about F there in the notes. So, yeah, have at it.
I'm going to try not to get fired up. I probably will, right? So one of we've talked about self-driving cars, right? We all know Todd's waiting on his Tesla to show up, and they're going to change the world. My kids are never going to drive. I get it.
Never.
But one of the articles I read this past week was self-driving cars will cause an organ shortage. And I I just wanted to scream. I don't know what else to say, right? Apparently, I don't get first dibs on my organs anymore. It's if I use a self-driving car, I'm cheating some person out of an organ, so I should really feel bad about myself. So we should ban self-driving cars because I don't know.
Yeah, so I saw that same article in an aggregator. I use News 360 and a couple of others. And I saw that headline, and honest to God, I thought it was like an Onion article. This article was talking about how, one of the downsides of self-driving cars is that we're not going to get all these lovely organ donors that we get. And, there's already a shortage of organ donors, and there's already people. We save thousands of lives every year with these organ donors. I'm thinking, what about the thousands of lives we're going to not be killing to get those organs to save those other people?
Well, you know what? You can look forward to the next time I hear someone ranting about gun control and how gun violence is ruining our country. I'm going to say, but think of the organ donors. If we take away guns, there will be less organ donations.
Yep.
Mic dropped.
Don't drop your mic, because in the time that'll take Yeti to fix it, it'll be 9-10 months. So set it down gingerly on like a stack of sheets or shirts or something.
I'm gonna bubble wrap it. You think that'll mess the audio if I bubble wrap my next mic?
Yep, whatever you do not drop your mic, for God's sakes.
Yeah. Well, and Jack does point out, though, so self-driving cars, what it's really going to do is it's going to lead to more cases of people getting, roofied and taken to hotel rooms and having their kidneys cut out, waking up in the bathtub. Remember that old urban legend?
Happened all the time on the internet from 96 to 98. Yep.
So, yeah, that's going to come back, apparently, because of self-driving cars. Oh, we can't have nice things.
Yep. Some bad guy will get in, hit the thing, Todd's car, take me to the Holiday Inn. I'm going to harvest his kidneys.
But do it safely, because we don't want to get hurt on the.
Yeah, and last week at CES, we haven't covered any CES stuff, but like everybody and their dog is putting some kind of assistant in their cars. So like Cortana's going to be in BMWs, and Siri's is going to be in Yugos or something. I don't know. So yeah, all the cars now are going to have all this stuff. So we'll be able to do all that.
All right. So now we're into the crazy. We can bounce around. Oh, we can do K. K's on topic.
Yep, K. I like K. And then we'll do one fun one. There's a fun one in there I wanted to do. Maybe H. We'll do K first.
Well, what about M though? I think that one's important because we talked about it on Twitter today. You think about that. So K.
Read that article quick while you're talking about K.
So the new version of SharePoint Online PowerShell came out last Friday. If you've been using PowerShell to administer your SharePoint Online, hopefully in reality you've been using the patterns and practices PowerShell, because it's about umpteen times better. But the default Microsoft PowerShell that they provide is now available. The couple things with that. The first one is if you're running the current version, you're going to have to manually uninstall it because they didn't do an actual, proper use of PowerShell. They just use a silly installer to put it on, so they don't patch it or update it. You got to go in and
put a college intern on it.
Yeah, he did a great job. And the other thing is I haven't played with it much, but I did find there's 3 + 2 new commandlets. So in reality, what they did was they added just a couple of new commandlets. I tried to figure out what they were for, and I couldn't. They're like some weird global user commandlets. I tried to use help. It was my first guess. They didn't include any help or any examples. I mean, the college intern really phoned that one in. They took one of the old commandlets and undid it. One of the commandlets doesn't even have an SPO prefix. It has a user prefix. I don't know. This is like a failure. I would almost tell you to stay away from it at the moment until they find a reason to use it, because it just seems messed up.
Yeah, that's pretty sad. I have not looked at it yet. Though I did see, and I don't think I put it in here, but the Patterns and Practices updated their stuff over the weekend too, I think. It's like the January update or something.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if the January... I knew that we hadn't talked about the December one. Did the January one made it out this weekend too?
Yeah. Vesa, or one of those guys, tweeted it out today.
Well, so I need to get on that. If I had a microphone where I could make videos, I would cover all that. But since, microphones.
That's just the man key. That's limiting your freedom of speech. You don't have to put up with that. That's you don't need that.
Well, speaking of limiting freedom of speech, it turns out Todd's not allowed to talk about being an astrophysicist anymore. And I don't know, I wanted to give him a chance to be an astrophysicist, so
The lead up to this is so sad. So a friend of mine on Twitter and I, Tasha, we're talking about the stuff at the Golden Globes last night, and whether the story is Meryl Streep got a Lifetime Achievement Award. She went up, and for her time up there, she railed on Donald Trump. Very vogue. Everybody's doing it. I can see why she would jump on that bandwagon. So there's been a lot of discussion today about whether celebrities should be able to use their pulpit to talk about politics. Now, we've had this discussion a million times, a million instances of that. And so whether you believe that or not, Tasha was saying that if you are saying, let me see if I can get this right. If you are saying that Meryl Streep shouldn't be able to do this, you're infringing her freedom of speech. And so my response was no, because anytime you invoke the phrase freedom of speech, you are specifically referring to the government and only the government. And I've not heard anybody say there should be a law against what she did. Somebody's just said, nobody gives a damn what actors think. They should keep their mouths shut. But nobody's tried to invoke the government and said there should be a law against that. That should be Congress shall make a law prohibiting the act of actors standing on stage. And that's the freedom. So her and I were talking about how freedom of speech, that phrase specifically means this. And so she said, so you don't think that, we were talking about it, and I said, if you're talking about something, anything, and I said, if I'm up there talking about astrophysics, some other astrophysicist should be able to tell me to shut my mouth if I don't know what I'm talking about. That's not a freedom of speech thing. That's not the government. And so then Shane immediately saw that and put astrophysics in the thing so that I wouldn't be able to talk about it.
Yeah, they were having an adult conversation. I went and screwed it up because that's what I do.
We can't have nice things.
Yeah, but I mean, it turns out, right, it's important to note that there is a star that was going to come within 77 light days of Earth. It is on a trajectory for our solar system, and there is nothing you can do about it, folks. The good news is it won't be here for like 1.3 million years. The bad news is they have a 50% error rate, so it could come within 40 light days of the planet. And apparently it's going to blow through some asteroid belt that I don't really understand. It's going to send a bunch of chunks of ice at Earth. And it sounds like it's probably a planet killer, but, it's 1.3 million years away. So do we really care?
Well, I've got some investments that are long-term. I don't know. But this does bring up another thing. There's been this a picture going around the internet the last few days. It's a picture of a piano bar, and it says, Lightsaber Night has been canceled. And then underneath it says, thanks a lot, Todd. I don't know what the backstory is on that, but I've gotten so many tweets and Facebook posts. Yes, folks, I am the reason we can't have nice things. It is all this guy right here. I'm the reason we can't have Lightsaber Night. Don't make me mad.
Yeah, I agree. Moving on.
Can't talk about astrophysics and we can't have Lightsaber Night. That's it. I'm standing my ground.
We had astrophysics. I just had to do it. You couldn't tell me to shut up because you're not an authoritative source.
I'm not allowed.
All right. Should we probably should call it a day here?
We got any more in there that we got to talk? I don't think we do.
I mean, there's a lot, but most of them will make it until...
Yep.
There's nothing topical.
Yep. Well, folks, if you're still listening, the folks in the chat room, they're long-suffering, the hooligans. But if you're still listening on the recording, thanks a lot. We'll be back next week, as far as I know, as long as my hangover from the Chiefs game isn't too bad.
I'll be here either way because I love you.
Because he's got nothing better to do. His team didn't make the playoffs.
Yes. And I'm a loser without a job, so if you're hiring, maybe you can hire me, and then I'll have something to do and not have to hang out with Todd.
There you go. So thanks, everybody. Again, follow us on Twitter at Todd Klindt, at Shane's Cows, toddklindt.com/blog, a million other things. And we will see you next week. Later.